I found this book. Now, I've never read it before, but it's by an author called Gary Paulsen, and people love him as an author. So I did think it was quite a good book to read to you. It's quite short. It's much shorter than Planet Omar. Now, there are a couple of things I want to talk about before I start reading it. The first one is, later in the year, there's a unit, and you know I'm new to grade 4 and so are you, but one of the units of study is called Enterprise, and you get to start a little business. I don't really know about it yet, but this is about him starting a little business as a lawn mower boy. So a lawn, for those people that don't speak English at home, is the grass in someone's garden. So it needs cutting. And the word that you use to cut the grass in the garden is mow. You mow the lawn, okay? I love mowing the lawn at my house because I love the smell of the cut grass. Oh, it smells so good. Anyway, thought I'd read this to you. The lawn boy. So he gets a job as a lawnmower person. And the other thing, well, so when I was a kid, we used to do that as our job. We'd ask the neighbours, would you like us to mow your lawns? And if we mow or cut your lawns, then they would pay us. So some people were regulars. Every 3, 4, 5 weeks, they would come round to the house, or I would go to someone's house, or I might go to my grandparents' house and they might pay me, or I might just do it out of love, and I would mow the lawns. So it's kind of like a little business that lots of kids get into in New Zealand, Australia, probably England, maybe America. I don't know about your home country. You could ask at home, say to your parents, when you were little, did you have any way of earning pocket money, like doing jobs? This is what this boy's going to do, okay? It's called an enterprise, and the people that you work for are called your clients. Okay, so this is what made me want to read it. One day I was 12 years old and broke, had no money. I set out to mow some lawns with Grandpa's old riding mower. One client was Arnold, the stockbroker, who offered to teach me about the beauty of capitalism, earning money, supply and demand. If you don't know what that is right now, you'll find out from the book. Diversifying labor, distributing the wealth. It's groovy, man, Arnold said. The grass grew, and so did my business. Arnold invested my money in many things. One of them was a prize fighter. All of a sudden, I was a sponsor of my very own fighter, Joey Pow, that was his name. That's when my 12th summer, so he was 12 years old, got really interesting. Gary Paulsen's comic, that means funny, story about a summer job becomes a slapstick lesson in business. Slapstick, it means funny. As one boy turns a mountain of grass into a mountain of cash. Sounds good if you like money. Okay, let me start. Lawn boy. I don't have a clue how all this will end. There are people now who say I'm some kind of wonder boy, or that I know some secret and that I had this big hairy plan. No. One minute I was 12 years old and wondering where I could get enough money for an inner tube for my old bicycle. Inner tube is in the tire. I didn't have any money and my parents didn't have much either. My mum's a teacher in an experimental school and my dad's an inventor. Sometimes it takes a long time to work out a new idea. This was one of those times, so we were a little broke. That means not too much money. Mum and I have learned not to ask too many questions about what he's doing, but if we do, he wants to use us as guinea pigs, and we learned our lesson during what we now refer to as the voice-activated door incident. If you call something an incident, it often means it's an issue or a problem. Dad swears Mum's nose is as cute as ever, and I don't notice anything different about it, but she still touches it gingerly when he starts to talk about some big new idea he's got going. So what do you reckon the voice-activated door incident was? Because it says, Dad swears Mum's nose is as cute as ever, and I don't notice anything different about it, but she still touches it gingerly, that means carefully. when he starts talking about some big new idea. Turn and tell your neighbour, there's no answer. What do you think happened to Mum's nose in the voice activated door incident? The next minute, it seems, I've got a business of my own with employees. That means they pay the people. And I'm rich. An employer is the person who earns the money. Employee is the person who gets the money, works for the person. So employer, employee. I better explain. It all began at 9 in the morning on my 12th birthday, when my grandmother gave me an old riding lawnmower. My grandmother is the kind of person who always thinks that though no matter how bad things might seem, everything will always come out all right. Her hair could be on fire. She's probably say, well, at least I have a light to read by. Okay, so when her hair's on fire, she says, well, at least I have a light to read by. Her hair's on fire. She's the most positive person in the world and amazing and fun to be around. But in a strange and happy way sometimes, she seems to be about 9 bricks shy of a full load. Oh, that's weird. Okay, I'll explain that expression. You could say 2 sandwiches short of a picnic. If someone is 2 sandwiches short of a picnic, not quite there. 2 bricks, or 9 bricks shy of a full load of bricks to build a house. You can't finish building the house. It's an expression. What do you think it means? Sometimes she seems to be about, in a strange happy way, sometimes seems to be about 9 bricks shy of a full load. Turn and tell your neighbour if you can figure out what he's trying to say. Okay, if you haven't worked it out, I'm going to read the next line and it should explain to you what the author meant by 9 bricks shy of a full load, or I would say a couple of sandwiches short of a picnic. You can say, you know, I think the Yankees, it's a sports team, will win the World Series again. And she'll answer, yes, but it's still nice to put carrots in the stew for flavour. And you think that somewhere inside that brain there may be a screw that's come loose. Then you find out that the last time the Yankees won the World Series, she made stew and forgot to put carrots in. And she blamed the team. The Yankees is the name of the team. She never liked them anymore. And when the stew tasted funny, she blamed them. Still doesn't like them. So she makes weird connections between things. It makes sense if you wait long enough. So when I turned 12, she came to the house with an old riding mower in the back of her Toyota pickup truck. Happy birthday, she said. It used to belong to your grandfather. He was always working on it. Thought you might like it. A mower? Though we lived at the edge of what was termed a nice neighbourhood, our house was small. A fixer-upper. Needed it fixing. When my folks bought it 4 years ago, it had a yard or backyard or garden about the size of a postage stamp. This book's going to be full of English expressions. It's really not the size of a postage stamp, but again, it's an expression we use. It had a garden about the size of a postage stamp, and the grass never seemed to grow enough to need mowing. It just sprouted and stopped, gave up, died, and came alive again over and over. My father and I lifted the mower down from the truck. A lawnmower? I looked at Grandma. Thanks. My bridge club is meeting on Thursday, she said, getting back into her truck, which makes it hard to watch CSI, since it's on a Thursday too. Did you know that? So she's just said something totally random, nothing to do with the lawnmower. But as we know, Grandma often will make a connection to something that we might figure out later on. So let's remember that. She's given him a lawnmower and then said her bridge club, which is a game that people play, is meeting on Thursday night. Right. As she drove away, before I could answer her, much less wait for the part where it all made sense, I just stood and wondered. It appears you now have a lawnmower, my father said, smiling as he walked back to the house. Yeah, but I don't understand the connection between that and her bridge club. Although I'm sure there is one. She's your mum's mum. Maybe your mum will know what she meant. I looked at the mower. Very old, low, small. It looked like it only cut about 2-foot wide areas. It was nothing like a fancy new machine. The seat was steel without a pad to keep me comfortable, and the driver's feet went over the top of the motor to rest on 2 foot pedals. One was a brake and the other was the clutch that you had to push down to get the mower going. It was steered with 2 levers, like a very small bulldozer. It looked more like a toy than a mower. Okay, since I was 12 and I didn't have much experience with motors, I've never even had a dirt bike or a full-wheel bike. I'm just not machine orientated. My birthday present just sat there. I tried pushing it towards the garage. Didn't seem to want to move. Even turning around and pushing my back against it and pushing with my legs, which I thought might give me more leverage, didn't help. It just sat there. So I studied it. On the left side of the motor was a small gas tank, and I unscrewed the top and looked in. Yep, gas. On top of the tank were 2 levers. The first one was next to pictures of a rabbit and a turtle. Even though I'm not good with machines, I figured out what that was. A rabbit and a turtle on a machine. Turn and tell your neighbour what you think the rabbit and the turtle might be telling him to do. Ready to find out? Even though I'm not good with machines, I figured out that it was the throttle and the pictures meant fast and slow. The other lever was on and off. So on my lawnmower at home, if you push the throttle, the lever up to the turtle, it goes slow. You push it to the rabbit and it goes faster, like the blades that spin around. And that's called the throttle. If you put the throttle on something, it makes it go faster or slower. I pushed on. Nothing happened, of course. On the very top of the motor was the starting pull rope. Oh no, why not? So I gave the pull rope a jerk and the motor spluttered a little and it went pop and then it died. I pulled the rope again. When you pull the rope, the motor starts spinning. So if you pull it, it spins the motor, and if it catches, it starts going. So I pulled the rope again and the motor hesitated, pop, and then roared to life, and I jumped back. No muffler. A muffler, you'll notice on the back of a car, stops it making a lot of noise. Once when I was little, my grandmother, in her usually logic-defying fashion, answered my request for another cookie by saying that my grandfather had been a tinkerer. He was always puttering about with things, taking them apart, putting them back together. When he was around, nothing ever broke. Nothing ever dared to break, because he would just take it apart and put it back together. That's funny, he's making it sound like the machines had a choice. He said, nothing ever dared to break. That's called personification. You've personified or made the machine seem like a person. It didn't dare to break. Loud as the mower was, it still wasn't moving and the blade wasn't going around. I stood looking down at it. This strange thing happened. It spoke to me. well, okay, not really. I'm not one of those woo wacko people. At least I didn't think I was. Didn't think machines spoke to me. But maybe now I am. Anyway, there was some message that came from the mower through the air and into my brain. A kind of warm or maybe settled feeling, like I was supposed to be there, and so was the mower. Like the two of us connected. Like it was a friend. So, all right, I know how that sounds too. We'll sit under a tree and talk to each other, read poems about mowing. Totally whack. But as crazy as it sounds, the feeling was there. Well, okay, this is not your average story. Look at that picture.